Design Salvation, Episode 17.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We're Design Salvation.
And we're here to chat today about all sorts of things design for creatives, whatever you're thinking about that you need to get on top of. We're here to encourage you and be a community for you.
Absolutely. If you are design curious, you're going to like this show. Or maybe not even this specific episode.
Maybe not this episode. It's not necessary for everyone, right?
Correct. But you're going to like our show in general. And you know what? Spread the word. Tell all your pals.
That'd be great. You know, a lot of people think we're a video or they think we're a blog. And I keep saying, we're just a podcast. You have to listen.
We're just a podcast. Like put us on when you're getting ready in the morning or, I don't know, walking the dog or something.
When do you usually listen to your podcasts?
In the morning.
Yeah, I do
morning
too,
gal.
when I'm getting ready.
Yeah, sometimes it's when I'm getting ready. A lot of times, too, if I have to commute to a job.
Yes.
I'll put on a podcast. For some reason, I prefer to listen to that over music. And then as my day kind of starts to unfold, I gravitate more towards music. And then obviously in the evenings, it's always music because I need that to kind of unwind. But I feel like my brain is fresh in the morning. So I'm always wanting to kind of get started and get engaged. And a lot of times the podcasts are just inspiring. I hope ours is inspiring.
Well, yes, although I think ours is, but in a different way than some of the ones I listen to. We're a little chattier than.
Oh, we're definitely.
We're a little low key.
We're definitely chattier, but yeah, and we don't do the how tos and the wherefores and all that kind of good stuff, but we do hope that you'll get a couple of nuggets. So,
well, we might kind of do a little bit of a how to today. This is a little more structured, isn't it?
Oh, okay. So yes, this is a little more structured. I think Annie has done something kind of groovy.
I don't know about that. But
yeah, you have. And I'm going to take your lead. I'm not going to lie. I hadn't done much to
you haven't done anything, sister.
No, I hadn't done anything. She's done, what's it called? An initialism?
An initialism, yes.
Okay, she's done an initialism. And this, I understand, is driven by some of the questions that we're getting, which we love questions. We're getting it through our website, which is designsalvation.com. We're getting it through all the platforms of social media.
Instagram,
so, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And so anyways, we keep kind of getting similar questions, but slightly different. And I think Annie may have helped us kind of weed through those today.
Well, the question is, this is not a new question. And we've all sort of, it's how do you start on a room? Let's just say.
Or find your style?
Yes. I mean, it could be. Yeah. How do you find your style? How do you start maybe on a new house project? How do you get drilled down to where you're really focused?
Yeah. Where it's I constantly am saying on projects, stay the course, because it's really easy to get distracted. It's really easy to go down a path that's, and sometimes that exploration's okay, but just to figure out what you do and don't want. But for the most part, it's a distraction.
It is. Well, and there are just so many things to look at out there. You can make yourself completely crazy because even once you choose your focus, if it's not really set in stone, or you can wiggle your way out of it by looking at 100 other things and get confused.
You can totally get confused. And I think that not only are designers guilty of this on their own projects because we're exposed to so much, but I think that now clients are also exposed to a lot. So, they can't really, a lot of times they can't really find their way. Like they don't even know how to communicate with their designer what they like or what they really think is their
And the problem
style.
with that, if they don't have a really solid point of view, you lose the creative plot. And I think the end result as a designer is less rewarding for the client and as the designer too, because you just then at that point are getting it done to satisfy a client when you haven't led the way properly.
Very good point. Say that one more time. You lose the plot.
You lose the creative plot. And then I think the end result gets really diminished. And I think it's important. And it's something that I have struggled with because I tend to want to compromise with my clients too much. But we really need to lead. We need to be the design leaders, and we need to be very clear about the vision so that it is a fun process. Because otherwise we get in the weeds. The clients are up at night, second guessing all your decisions. And so if you do this process that I laid out in this initialism, which then I think you can lead with more cohesiveness.
And I love that you just mentioned lead. I think sometimes, and I have gotten caught in this trap, where I'm more of a filter than I am a leader on a project. And those aren't my favorite projects. And it's just as much my fault as it is, the team, the client, whatever, where I'm just filtering their ideas and their thoughts. And I'm not actually the one that's leading the charge. And I'm the one that's lost the creative plot. I think, you know what? I just love that so much. I'm just writing it down right now. I'm like, the creative plot. I'm going to just use that.
Throw it out there when they go off track and they're tangential. You can say, we need to get back to the plot.
We've lost our creative plot. Anyways, okay, back to the initialism.
But I do, just not to dwell on semantics. Like sure. I feel like I am a filter for my clients, but that doesn't negate my role as a leader. Like I have to. But let's just say,
right.
I mean, so I don't mind the word filter, but I know what you mean.
I've just made that mistake.
You're reactive, and you're not proactive.
I'm reactive, and I'm just telling them yes, no, maybe, I don't know, because they've come to me with so many ideas and so many thoughts, and part of that is because they have kind of lost their way, and they're trying to decide what it is that they like, what their style is, and I haven't probably managed that.
Yeah,
just right.
And I've done that too. And that's why I think this question keeps coming up, both from the professional community and those of you at home waiting to start a project, is because I have this problem at home too.
Oh, I think so. And I have this problem with my clothes and with
exactly
my garden. And other things in my world.
Okay, so this is the aesthetic framework for all of these things, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe this could be for your wardrobe too. I have no idea, but let's start from interior design.
Yeah.
Okay. So the word we're gonna do the initialism off the word aesthetic.
Yay!
And we're gonna just take each letter of aesthetic and explain the process that you should maybe consider walking your clients through or yourself. So
this will provoke you to think about it.
So all you have to do is be able to spell aesthetic.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go.
So, A. Okay. A. Yay. Good start, sister.
What's your word?
The word is atmosphere. So if you're
good one.
Yeah, just atmosphere. It could even be attitude. It's something in there. Like let's just say you say to a client, do you see this as, do you want it young, sweet, fresh? Do you want it kind of musty and bookish and, like Thomas Pheasant?
Yeah,
we were just looking at his book.
Exactly. You can even ask this question of yourself. What is the atmosphere that you want to be in or that you want to create?
Yeah, maybe it's kind of irreverent. Maybe it's, but these are all things that I think if you find the right 3 words or 2 words, or I don't think you need 5, it can really be your grounding point.
Okay. I like that very much. Okay. Yeah, atmosphere.
So then the next one, E, would be, what energy do you want to flow out of this space?
Now, that's interesting because in the past, I've had several clients come to me, and this was probably, 10 years ago or so, but I've had a lot of people come to me over the years that have wanted their spaces to conform to the feng shui, which is the aligning of things, making the energy flow through the space, blocking it where it is, necessary and letting it flow.
Yep.
And energy is also one of those things that you can get from certain objects. certain colors. It's like, they tell us when we're studying color theory, it's like, okay, well, red's going to excite you and blue is going to calm you, and all the psychology of the various different things that even color alone can provide with energy.
Yeah. So like, do you have a word in your house right now that would describe the energy? Or I don't want to put you on the spot. Maybe you're still working towards that.
Word?
Yeah.
I don't know. Edgy?
Okay. Yeah, I think so. That to me, that's a really energetic word. I don't know if technically it's an energy word, but who cares? No, because I think it conveys exactly.
Know.
Yeah, I don't either.
But no, and maybe that's what I aspire to be is edgy. But, something that's not completely expected, or that it's maybe a concept that has been out there for a while, but it's done just a little bit different.
Yep.
Pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then we would go to S.
Yes.
And the question would be sort of overall saturation. Like what color temperature do you want it to be? And how much color do you want to infuse in the space?
So smart, because you can have something light and airy and soft and subdued, or you can have something rich and dark and
cozy
saturated, cozy, intimate,
moody,
all of that. Oh, yeah. So saturation's a very interesting word, too, because sometimes when I'm talking to clients and we're looking at a color chart, or we're on the, some spectrum of some sort where we're looking at color or whatever, and I talk about saturation, sometimes I'll have that blank stare.
Yes.
They'll look at me like, what?
And they don't even know what
I'll
colors
be like,
they
how
like.
deep, how depth, depth. I don't know. What other word would you use other than saturation?
I think temperature sometimes works.
Oh, temperature's good. Yeah, temperature's good. I
always
use
do you want a warm temperature? Do you want a cool temperature?
But sometimes at a loss for words trying to articulate what
because you're like, really? You don't know what?
I really want it to be saturated. And they'll look at me and they'll be like, huh? I always use the words like juicy, delicious. And people are like, you are crazy. So when I'm trying to be professional, I use saturated.
But we don't have to always be professional.
No,
that's for sure.
Yeah, some people actually get it more when you're not.
Totally.
Okay, back.
So then the next one is sort of a quick little, it's T, and it would be texture.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Texture's another way to get saturation. Texture's another way to create the mood.
Yes, to create the mood. So maybe you want it really nubby and organic, or maybe you want it sort of smooth and silky, the whole space itself to just sort of blend, or maybe you
layers.
Yeah. So I just feel like these are all sort of the preliminary considerations before you get to the real meat of the room. It's
down and dirty in it, But the texture, it can have a lot to do with it. And there are a lot of people that have some adversity to certain types of textures. It's very interesting because touch and our eyes are just a really important part of the experience at large.
Yes.
I think the texture is really one that oftentimes gets overlooked.
Well, I think too, particularly in the Northwest with sort of raining aesthetic here, if you don't have texture, you really don't have anything.
You really don't. It just is flat.
Yeah, it would be too flat. Yeah,
and all of the above. But and that can come in a lot of different forms because you can do that with your light fixtures. The shades.
That's right.
You can do it in wall covering. You can do it in floor covering. Even the ceiling. Like, for instance, I have plywood on my ceiling, but it does create this added layer of texture.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, as you're saying, if you dive a little deeper into the project, then obviously that comes up again when you go to look at textiles and, various other things.
Right, the obvious. So the obvious ones, yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so then we sort of get to the meat of it, and the letter would be H. We're in the word aesthetic again.
Yeah, so we got to learn how to spell here.
Yeah.
Okay, people. All right. H.
So H for heart. And in this, I was thinking not so much about I was thinking more about what's the real heart of the room. So let's just say it's a bedroom, for example. Generally the bed is the centerpiece. Mm-hmm. So that would sort of be the heart of the room. So when you are thinking about heart, you think about it as, is it a piece of furniture? Is it the fireplace in a room? Is it a bathtub in the bedroom? What's going to really be the point of departure or the biggest moment in the room?
Because you've got to really, that you mention heart and you mention it as this central kind of entity in the space. And then when you said heart, I was kind of like, oh, so that it's also interpreted, because I didn't know what you were going to say. So it's also kind of interpreted as, well, this is what's really tugging at you. This is what's really...
That's why I liked that word, because it encompasses a couple concepts.
It does.
One is the more, tangible piece, but then it's that intangible part of it, which you can really create out of something beautiful like a fireplace, or
absolutely,
a bed, or a great sofa or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what really is kind of like something that you're feeling it feels right to you. It's one of those things that kind of gets you in a place that goes back to the first things that you mentioned about it gives you the energy, it gives you the atmosphere, it creates the space that you want. So I interpreted that completely different. Okay, it's all good.
Well,
it's all good. I got you, girl. It's all good.
I just want to make sure at some point we tie it back to, well, in all of these categories, there is that intangibleness, but we want to get back to
really what is the foundation.
Yeah, what's the
foundation of this. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I got you.
And I've been dreaming of my bed in my bedroom for years. And
you are going to do it, aren't you?
Heck, yes. Yes.
You said you were.
I am. In fact, this month we are moving forward. I promise. And I'm going to report back frequently.
Did you get the fabric?
I have not reselected. That's
okay.
Yes, but I have had the builder out. We've had a consult in the bedroom, which was okay. I'm going to digress here a little bit.
I want to hear.
So my bedroom looks terrible because the bed's on the floor, and I have the builder in there. I have the stucco guy in there. I have the painter in there.
So great.
It's embarrassing. I have Mark, our favorite project manager, in there, and before they came in, of course, I'm running around trying to make the room look somewhat presentable because I'm supposed to be a designer, and yet I've been living in this. Terrible space for so long.
Things we worry about.
Yeah, we do worry about them. And then I look over in the corner, and you know how I've been struggling with my neck, and I have every contraption, and I realize it looks like a basket of sex toys. And I'm like,
this is a confession.
Yes.
Okay, wait, whoa. Yes. Back up for 2.2.
Yes.
This is a total confession because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you do? Did you just push it out of the way, stand in front of the basket?
No. I had the wherewithal to run through my room with a critical eye before all these men were in it. So I hid it in the very back of my closet. Not that they would have gone back there, but I was dying because all this stuff looks so weird.
Oh my gosh,
it's all completely innocent, funny. But I wouldn't even know what a sex toy looks like, frankly. But it did have some weird connotation. Plus, it's right next to the bed because all my special gear for my neck.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. Okay, so you got that out of the way, and you've had everybody in the bedroom.
Yes.
And do you have any resolutions? Are you making progress?
We're making progress in the sense that we had to drill through the walls to see if we had any water issues coming from the exterior in because our stucco wasn't applied properly. So we had good news. We had initial good news.
Good.
The stucco fixes that we're going to have are not going to be fun. And all the maintenance on the exterior of the house are taking away from my bed.
Yes,
budget.
I was just going to say.
Oh, dramatically. It makes me kind of sick. But you know what? That's the yoke of a house.
It is. That's the way. That's the way it goes. So okay, you're gonna get there.
We'll get there. So I just enjoy my bathtub and my candles.
And is that your heart?
In the bathroom, for sure. Yeah. To me, that is my heart, and the way that I sort of did the marble surround and made it a moment. And
yummy.
And then I did what you did. I put my Epsom salts in a pretty blue and white.
Yay!
I mean, you put yours in a very cool container, but I put mine Oh, and I'm going to digress even further.
Okay, let's do it.
I've had so many people say, now, how do you use your Epsom salts? And I'm like, don't soak in them.
You've got to
scrub it on like a big old poultice.
Yes.
And then you can leave it on a little bit and then you rinse it off. And then basically you're soaking in it anyway.
They smell amazing. Yeah.
And if you don't put it up here around your neck, you're missing the whole moment. Oh, don't you think?
I love the neck and the shoulder area because you also get to smell it.
We know you get in bed and then you smell like that and you're so silky.
So good.
Okay, that's the clay and ginger, Dr. Teal's, right? Epsom salts.
Yes.
That goes way back.
It is the bomb, I'm telling you.
And it's $5.99 a bag or something.
I love it. It's so great.
The best cheap spa trick ever.
I know.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So we did the heart. Okay. So now we're on E.
Again, there's another E.
Oh, okay. So now we have our heart in place and now we want to really move through the space and experience it. That's the E, is the experience. So in the sense of, what does your eye stop on? How do you move through the space? If you're sitting on your bed, what are you looking at? If you're sitting in your kitchen and you have a fireplace, how is it? And that's what's going to be your heart. How are you experiencing that?
Well, and I also think the experience too is, how does it feel to you?
That is true.
So it goes back again to the A and the E from before. Is, it's your eye, but it's also sometimes when you look at something, how does that make you feel? So what does it evoke? Look at me using another E word.
Evoke. I love that word. Evocative. One of my favorite words.
Yeah, isn't that good?
That's good.
Okay.
That's super good.
So you have to think about that though.
Yeah, and then even more specifically would be, how would you move? Flow probably would be. Is that the experience, do you think?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. And I think that it's the visual experience that you spoke about too. Yeah. I think that's really important, where you're visually stimulated or you're provoked.
Oh,
ooh, yes. And it's always like, you're always constantly preaching about how you need something interesting in the room. You need something interesting in the room. And so that, I would think, would be part of that.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, good.
I like it.
Okay. Cool. This might actually be a
kind of fun.
It is
I know. We could actually
just
dissect words from now on. You could be the initialism queen. Oh, okay. I could crown you.
Maybe that will be our little, method of communicating.
It could be.
Okay.
It's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. Ooh. Okay. So then it is organized too for me, which is, I don't organize well. So this is,
I know. And I'm just over here on the fly. I'm just like,
okay.
I'm rolling with it.
T is very concrete. It's the technicalities of the project, the room, the space.
Yes, making sure it functions.
Yes. Whether you need to reinforce something or you want soft close, all the little technical things.
All the technicalities. Yeah. Do you need, the specific wiring for something, whether it's a television or, God forbid, or whether it's a floor plug, exactly, or is it specific lighting that needs to be in a certain location, even if it's an art light or sconces that create that ambiance and that atmosphere.
Exactly.
So see, we're tying all the words back in. It's this tangled web that we are weaving. I like it. That's great.
And then the I, we're getting to the end here, would be the infusions. After you solve the technical hurdles, then it's going to be, and some of this you won't know to the end because this is where things have
we're almost a little bit of an word.
Right, we are. Okay. But I'm thinking project-wise, if you were doing this all on the front end, some of this evolves a little bit. Projects tend to have an evolution. But it would be the infusions that would be the accessories. It would be the things that add maybe just the depth of character.
Absolutely a must to continue on with all the other things that we've said. And yes, those come towards the end, but sometimes in the beginning that these are things you want to incorporate. So if it's a library, you know what you're wanting to put in the library. And if it's your kitchen, you kind of know. Yeah. But those infusions come towards that.
I just like to leave a little room to navigate that because I think then it doesn't look as stilted.
Right. It doesn't look contrived.
Yes. So I agree with you that you got to know a bunch of those in advance, but then I want a little wiggle room to.
And I think you're right. I think sometimes a room will tell you what it needs. You may have some of these basics. I always say that about a house. People get so, what's the house going to look like? What's the house going to look like? And I'm like, we're going to get to a certain point and the house is going to tell you what it wants.
I love that.
The light is going to come in through, the window a certain way, and you will not have anticipated that. There's no way you could have. There's going to be a certain tree that provides shade, which influences the color. Like, you're not going to know that. So this infusion that you're talking about, where you leave that wiggle room at the end, is so important, because it's true. A space, sometimes you can create it all day long in your mind and have as much of it planned out and mapped out as much as you want to. And then as you get a little bit closer to the end of it, it will start to unveil itself and tell you what it wants or what it needs. Sometimes it needs an added layer. Sometimes it needs a shot of something.
I have Jen Dangle is an Instagram friend, and she says, listen to the house. And I think that's what
listen
we're talking
to the house. That's
about
another,
here.
That's really, I say the same thing, but in a different way, but listen to the house. I'm like, the house will tell you what it wants. That's the same. We're saying, you know what? We're saying the same thing.
We're saying the same thing, sister. That's why we're collaborators.
That's right.
Here.
Isn't that the truth?
Okay, so the C at the end, I don't know. The word is constancy. And I'm not sure I can articulate this. You can help me. But I feel like it's just maintaining that creative plot over time.
See, here you go again. Not losing the creative plot, making sure that you have this congruent continuity, consistency.
The vision
has actually been sought and has been followed through to the very, very end. You haven't gone off the path and done something completely wacky that doesn't.
The thing that makes me think of is if I don't lay this out in advance, what inevitably happens, and I'm sure it's happened with you, is that people move into their new space with big plans to live better and differently and elevate.
To elevate their lifestyle.
And then they lose that creative plot and they bring in all their tchotchkes and it's just a mess in 5 seconds flat. And they're basically in a very expensive end result living the way they lived before. So to me, it's the constancy would be that maintenance aspect of let's continue to elevate. Let's make sure we create a space in which we can live successfully so that we do have storage solutions, because we looked at the technicalities of this so we can really live in an elevated way.
Correct. You basically are seeing it all the way through to the very end, those very last details.
Yep, the very last details.
And the last details are a part of that. Now I'm actually going to get to use the space, and am I going to actually use it the way I intended to from the very beginning?
And I really think, and this is something I've not done well with clients, that I haven't explained this to this very end point in advance. So what happens is you get project fatigue, you get check writing fatigue, financial fatigue, whatever. And so inevitably, the infusions and the constancy don't get done. And I think if they were laid out in advance, the importance of them would be, it happens to all of us.
I'm guilty of that. Or I mention it and I'm not consistent in my own way of going back to that.
Well, I think we're a little fatigued too. We're all
I think so.
A little worn
out.
At
the end of the project, we're like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this for 3 years.
And the clients just don't want anybody in their house.
They don't. They're done.
So I think you can give them a little breathing room, but then be able to come back and say, okay, it's time for that last step that we talked about at the initial
last little bit of it. And as a matter of fact, I just have an opportunity coming up here real soon where I get to do that, where I've had someone reach back out to me.
You said that. That's
I'm so excited. Reach back out to me and say, hey, I'm ready for that.
Ready for the exclamation
point. There's a part of me that kind of is like, well, okay, well, maybe I did mention it. I just hadn't been very, I don't know. I just hadn't really stayed on top of it.
No, and it makes me think too of going back to a couple clients where we never quite crossed the finish line in a blaze of glory, but we sort of limped across it, that going back to them and saying,
okay,
hey,
you have an opportunity here to really
let's button this up in a really beautiful, beautiful way.
I think that's one of those things that I am super, super guilty of. And I'm always very sensitive to the fact that the clients do want to move in. They're very anxious to carry on with their normal lifestyle. They have been disrupted for X amount of time, whether it's a major remodel or new construction and displacement of some sort somehow. But I think it's really important to stay on top of that. And I'm going to take that little tidbit of advice and I'm going to make sure that I've got these new projects, and you do too, where I make sure that I mention that from the very get-go, that this is something that we're going to seek all the way through.
Okay, so this is part of our advanced leadership.
Advanced leadership program.
Yes, this is what we're going to do. We can always improve, and we will in this area.
Yeah, and we can together, and we just learn. Sometimes you just need a reminder.
And I'm also going to email a couple clients.
Oh, good.
Yep. I'm going to email them and say, I've got some time in about a month and I'd like to if you're amenable, let's
hop back on this.
Let's hop back on it. Let's get our list flowing and really check some things off that'll make you feel like we did it properly and you
finished it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be super proud.
Great idea. Okay,
okay. You got your aesthetics, and maybe we make a little downloadable of this. So
we could,
because if they're driving, they can't take notes.
Well, that's true. Well, or walking the dog, or I don't know, putting on your makeup or whatever you're doing, cooking. I hope you weren't taking notes, but the show notes are really great. So just a little plug on the show notes. After we finish up our podcast, we always take note of what we talked about. And if there's any links that we can provide or any more information, it is in the show notes. And that's on designsalvation.com. So you just go there and the show notes are actually you can click on show notes. It's on the same section where the podcast is that you would download to listen to. Some people overlook that, but it's got great little
we put
resources
and
tidbits. And
you do a great job. Dixie handles all that. You do a good job on that. But maybe I'll make a little sheet for this.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, so I have a random question.
Okay,
how do you pronounce IKAT?
I say ECOT, but I hear people.
That's how I say it.
I hear people say ICAT.
And they say ECAT, or they say, I've heard everything.
I hear ICAT. And I'm like, I don't think it's ICAT. I've always heard ECOT.
Okay.
I've always pronounced it ECOT.
Okay. I've even heard ECAT. What do you hear? ECAT? No, I can't even.
ICAT.
Okay.
And I'm like, that sounds like something I would say. No, but I've always, since the very beginning of working in the industry, I've always just thought it was ECOT.
Okay. Well, my mom always said ECOT, so I said ECOT. And back in the day when she loved fabrics.
Oh.
And she loved
I didn't even know what ECOT was until gosh.
Oh, well, I guess I was ahead of the game there, but I didn't like it. I didn't get it.
Oh.
So I thought
it is an acquired taste. You know what? I had a client tell me, I presented this to a client. I don't know what the pattern was exactly or whatever. She told me it looked angry.
Angry?
That's what she said.
Just so there's that blurriness. If you, I know you all know what it is, but it's that dyeing technique where it's a resist dye, and then there's a certain imperfection in it, and the blurriness of the.
Yeah, it has a blurriness to it, and the pattern can be small or it can be a little bit larger. It's usually relatively monochromatic, but not always.
No, I don't think that's true. I think it can be very vibrant.
It blurs, so it bleeds a little bit.
That part, yeah.
And so I feel like the biggest print of it. I don't know. How did they do that? Do they twist the fabric, or are they actually block printing it?
No, I don't think they're not block printing. I think they're twisting the yarns in there.
Probably.
But I remember telling my mom, it looks like the end of the paper towel roll to me.
Oh my gosh. Did that hurt feelings?
No, she just said,
like, oh gosh.
No,
Annie.
she said, you know what? You'll like it eventually. She's so right.
And you do.
I do, and then Lulu has ECOT curtains in her room, so she's good with it.
Stop it. Are you kidding me? Shut the front door.
Yeah.
She put ECOT?
Not in her new room.
Not in her new room.
In her room at home.
I
did that, yeah.
And let me guess, they're pink.
Heck yeah, they're
pink.
Oh
my gosh, you girls are girly girls. You just love your pink.
We do. It's the color of happiness.
You girls are hilarious, and you couldn't catch me dead or alive in pink.
I know, but you got your coral.
I'm just saying.
You could do coral.
Yeah, I can do coral. I have a little orange or red in it, but whoa, that's hilarious. Okay, well, what made you ask that question? Because you're on words today. You're like on, is it the grammar,
because
spelling?
I was thinking that we should do more
educational tools.
I guess I'm on the educational bandwidth today. It's kind of tedious, I'm sure.
I was just going to talk about the week, but okay, Annie,
all
educational today.
No, we're elevating. So I just wonder if maybe we add that in as a segment and kind of.
No, I think it's a great idea, and it really did make me think. And it's funny how I interpreted some of the language and the words that you came up with a little bit different. And I think that is certainly something that, you folks
I feel like we all need
do.
A new framework sometimes for communicating with our clients because it gets stale.
It does get stale.
And we get bored explaining it, and they've seen all those Pinterest posts that say how to design a room.
They're educating themselves as
So
much as they can or want to. But I think that it's nice to have something to kind of reference.
Yeah.
That reference is really good. So I'm thinking you're good. And I'm still taking the phrase, the creative plot.
Okay, good.
I like that.
All right. Well, I hope y'all share us with some friends if you're having fun, having coffee with us, which that's what we feel like we're doing with you.
Yeah, I know. Today we're only having iced tea.
Yeah, we're having iced tea.
But it's really yummy because I'm going to use your word, infused. We infused it with your fresh mint from your garden.
And it is peach tea, so it's quite delicious.
Yes. It feels quite southern and delicious and all the above.
We like feeling southern.
We enjoyed it. Anyways, we'll talk to you next week.
Super. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.